Hey, what's up guys? Today in this video, I'm going to show you how I added more functionality to our chapters. We had already been able to reshuffle our chapter sequence to sort them. And today we will see how we can click in this chapter to see the details, and then I can add a video to a chapter using the same form which we were using for submit video. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm over here. This page we have already seen. Now when I click, I come to a page which is chapter detail/2, which means obviously I have created this particular component, which is chapter detail page. This sits inside pages chapter details square bracket id.tsx. That's the naming convention. Now this page gets an id as prop. Why? Because this get server side props is giving me the params. From the params, I'm taking the ID and I'm returning that as a prop, and hence this ID is over here. We have a definition of our interface over here as well. Okay. Next thing, we have two state variables. One is for the chapter because we are going to show the detail of a chapter. So that's over here. And we have a loading state. In chapter, I have made certain changes. The I chapter now has a videos array, which I'm saying videos is an array of type I video. Okay, no changes here. This is the only change which I have. I made this so that when I get the videos or when I'm looping through the chapter, which you will see soon, I get those hints and I'm able to basically tell TypeScript what kind of data I am expecting. Okay, but by default, my I chapter is null. Okay, that is also possible because when the component will load, I'm using the use effect hook to make this call. First, I'm setting the loading to true because now my API call is being made, so loading is in progress. I call this function, which is internally an async function which calls the API. Okay, I have this service which calls the API. Let's see. I'm passing the ID. This ID is the ID which I'm getting from the prop. Go inside the service. It is a get call. I'm constructing this URL. Okay, it's a template string. So template string $URL service.chapter details/ID. This is a pretty straightforward thing. API chapter view, and then we append the ID to get the video object, or rather the chapter details. Okay, so yeah, we get the result, we pass it to the main component. Okay, nothing fancy. So we get the component, the chapter details, and we set that to our state. The loading is false now. So let's look at what the API is doing. Let me go to api.php. Inside API, I have basic route model binding. So chapter/view/chapter. This is my route model binding. Controller view method. Let's go inside that. I wanted the chapter, but I also want the videos. So I am loading that relation. Now, obviously, this relation was added. How this relation is working? Let's go to our model. The model says I have videos, which is a basic has many relation. For this to happen, what I have done is I have added a new migration. Let me go to database, migrations. The latest one says the videos table should have a chapter ID column, unsigned big integer, which can be null. So there are certain videos which are associated with a chapter. So they will have that chapter ID, but there are certain videos which are not associated with the chapter, so they can have it null. And that's how this relation is going to work. And this relation is something which I am loading in the controller. Once I do that, I send the chapter back to the front end application with a status code of 200. Okay, so that's the only thing which I have done so far. I have made some changes in terms of the factory because I added that column and stuff. But the only other thing is we will see how we create a video, which we will come along. Okay, let's go step by step. So we saw how we are getting the course. Okay, the course is here with that it details. So the details also has the videos in it. Now the next thing, which is a big part, is so we are able to show video details when a course, a chapter rather, has a video, right? But then how do I add a video? This is the form. And this form is exactly what we had in submit video. But then submit video doesn't have any property for me to connect a video with a chapter. So how am I doing that? So the same form is being used in two places. So how can we make sure that the same form can behave in different ways? So I did some refactor over here, and I'll tell you why some refactoring was required. So the video submit form, let's previously had no props. Okay, you can see, I will just load it up. Previously, the video submit form had nothing, okay, in terms of properties. But then I want the context for this form to understand that it is going for a chapter or is it just a normal submission. So I added a prop, which is chapter ID. And then I was also facing one more problem, which is my form initially, if you go here on submit, right, it was returning the user to the dashboard. Now that is a problem because when I'm creating a video in context of a chapter, I don't want the user to go back to dashboard. And that was the problem. I could see that my child component is dictating what happens when a video is created, which is really not a good thing to do, at least in our case. Why? Because the child component just says my responsibility is to create a view, or rather create a video. I have done that. So the way I have architected the component right now is that once a video is submitted or saved and the component knows about it, this child component will tell its parent, hey, I'm done. I have created the video. I have done whatever was required from my end. I have sent you the message. I'm done. Now you decide what to do. So when we are on the submit form, or rather submit page, the form will tell the page, the video has been submitted. Now you can do whatever you want. The submit page will take the user to the dashboard. And on this page, which is inside the chapter details, what we can do is maybe once the video is created, we add that back to this list. So very different behavior from the same form. So let's see. I'll close it out and let's open up the form. Okay, so this is our form. As I told you, I defined an interface. This interface has chapter ID, which can be a number or it can be null. I want to handle both because the submit form will not have any chapter ID. It also expects an on video success function. This function will get the video, okay, and it's void, so I don't need to return anything as such. But yes, these two parameters are required. Okay. Now my form submit is pretty much the same. The only thing is I'm sending the chapter ID. It can be null or it can be a number. So that's there. Okay. And then this service call is made. Now this service call hasn't changed on the front end. It is still doing the same thing, which is post data. However, the iVideo submit request or interface has changed. As you can see, I added a chapter ID again. I wanted to declare what is the type of data which is going. So I did that. It's not mandatory, but I like to do that. And it's like creating a DTO for your request. Okay. So yes, I had added that. Now, once the service post call is made with this value, obviously it will go to our API. Let's open up video controller. We're expecting a call to our video controller's store method. Inside that, All these validations were already there. You can see there's no green mark. The only thing which I have added over here is this chapter ID. I'm saying that this chapter ID is null. Okay. This can be null. Okay. And then when I pass this post data to add submission video, which is my video service, in here, I have only these 2 lines of code. Is published has changed a bit. If the chapter ID is present, then it should be published by default. Okay, I want to change the functionality of my application. If it is coming from for a chapter, the video will be automatically published. Otherwise, it is still under moderation. And if I have a chapter ID, obviously then I post the chapter ID. Otherwise, it is null. So as you can see, because I created a migration, as I told you, right? So this migration holds the chapter ID, and that chapter ID is how I'm doing the relation, right? So this model chapter has videos, which has many video, and the video is how we are deciding. So whenever a video has a chapter ID, the chapter will get that video, right? So this database table will allow us to do that. Let me go to the database. We have chapters. We don't have any change inside video. As you can see, there is 2 chapter IDs with null entry, okay, for video 1 and 2, whereas video 3 has chapter ID as 2. Okay, fine. So let's see. Okay, by the way, chapter ID 2, and hence you can see video ID 3 has chapter ID 2, and this is our chapter ID, hence the video is coming over here. That's the relation which is being defined over here. This, where is it? This relation, right? Okay, so yes, so we make this post call from the form. This is the only change. The ID is being passed. If we get a status code of 201, we are resetting the form and we are sending the video data to on video success function, which is coming as a prop. Okay, when we are inside the chapter details page, this form gets the on video success. It calls the video added function, where right now we are just consoling the video. That's why, okay, that refreshed. But if I create it again once, or let's say I can copy it from here, or maybe some other video, just so that this is working. Yeah, this is fine. Copy and oops, tab, copy the URL, and now you can see the console which says video, come on, and the video object, right? So 2 very different states. Obviously we haven't added the video to the chapter, so I need to refresh for you to see the latest one. But as you can see, the form is behaving very differently. When I'm creating a video from this form inside the chapter details, it behaves in a way that it tells the parent component and does nothing, because the parent component is just consoling the data, as we can see over here. Whereas in the other page, it basically redirects. So you can see if I go to form submit, paste this link, copy again. Oops, that didn't happen. Maybe I need to copy it again, like so, submit, and we are on the home page, right? So this is a nice way of doing things. Obviously, there are these are all published videos, so we'll need to figure the rest of the things. But yeah, that's generally how I have modified my code, right, to show the form And the videos, the form is primarily being reused so that I can get these two behaviors.